not good. Your mission failed, Monarch. Execute dynamic sequence override. Antimatter containing bottle shut down.
Good evening, citizens of Gotham, and welcome to the Making of OUTWORLDER 5 Full Disclosure. Tonight you're going to see how this rather large film got made, and it all begins with a plan. What is a plan? Well, if you're making film or television or stage or even a radio play, you got to start with the written word. You got to begin with the screenplay. And OUTWORLDER 5 certainly was no difference. You start off with something handwritten, and that's your first draft. It's usually pretty sloppy, also kind of wordy sometimes. You move things around a bit, and then of course you get to your your final draft screenwriting program. Start typing everything in. The great thing about that is you can change a lot, and you can even detail which drawing goes for each one. Because in my case, I can't afford locations. Look at this now. See. Can't afford locations, can't afford vehicles, can't even afford actors. Isn't that a shame? Yeah. So what happens? I've got to design them. You know, here's a training plane. It'll show up in a future episode of Squadron Zero, the Lucera files, which it spins off of OUTWORLDER 5. But yeah, it all starts with a lot of this material we have here. This is basically our source material, a lot of visual materials, and a lot of different drawings and whatnot. And some pieces here look like, you know, they're digital painted. There you can see them like that. And what happens is we go from there, from these photo references, then we start actually drawing the pieces. See? And the great thing about this is we've got actual hard copies. These are hard copies. It's not like when you do it, you draw on a pad inside of a computer, and no, hell forbid you have something happen to the computer and it just loses everything. You know, so in my case, I got everything here right on paper, and it's all got the date, title of the drawing, the sequence number, and anything like that. So I know exactly where everything goes and everything fits, and we just draw the whole production that way. Now, of course, in this we did differently in, of course, OUTWORLDER 5 was we also had some dioramas and some special effects models, and what happened with those is that we decided to raise the level of productivity up, so spent quite a bit of time making and designing these models, and you're going to see in somewhat time-lapse photography, because if you watch the whole thing being built, it would take 3 or 4 hours. We're going to try and shrink that down, so you're going to just see these things in 3 to 10 second bits as they come together, piece by piece, component by component, and be able to see how these ships were built. And then on the other side of the wall is the green room, and it's smaller than this. You turn around too fast, you either be bumping a model or you break an elbow. But yeah, that's where everything was filmed, right inside there. And just below the camera here is my Mac Studio. That's where everything was edited together. That's where all this happened. See, this right here, that was a photograph from the 1930s in Manhattan. I digital painted these, the trees, the cars, things like that. It was all digital painted using Affinity Designer. And what happens with that is it gives us more depth to it. What you want to do, if you want to still see some of the lines and color from underneath, reduce the opacity. You'll figure it out. What's interesting nowadays is we're all hearing how difficult it is for Hollywood. You know, they're terrified that AI is going to take away their ability to write screenplays because it can do a lot of that for them. It's a format program after all, right? Who better to follow a format program for screenwriting than a machine? So a lot of writers and a lot of artists are terrified of what they're going to lose. Rightly so, because you got to figure, to have risen to the level that they did, they had to put in thousands of training hours, and who knows how many dollars going to schools and whatnot, and how many different drafts and how many different iterations or reinterpretations of a story idea that they had to go through. And a machine doesn't have to go through any of that. It doesn't sweat anything. It just basically just puts a few clumps of ideas together, bangs them out, and somebody, some idiot in accounting says, "Yeah, it's got legs. We can do something with that," and they do. And for better or worse, we're going to see what comes out of that. Myself, can't afford AI right now, so I'm doing like that. That's just a drawing, digital painted. Looks like a 1938 apartment, and with an Atwater Kent radio, and the green glow of the radio on everyone's exterior right there. Yeah, and no AI using this. This thing was all real. Now, granted, as we get older and some of us have more aches and pains in our hands, and they don't move quite the way we do, well, we might have to start relying on that. But right now, we don't have to. Our World of 5 was made completely by me and that Mac Studio right there, and of course a filmed by a Sony 4K camcorder and an Apple iPad. Yep. And you're going to be able to, if you've watched the 2-hour, 58-minute, 24-second Our World of 5, then you know what the results look like. Now, spinning off from Our World of 5 is going to be a new series titled Squadron Zero, The Little Sierra Files. And trying to figure Little Sierra out is kind of like peeling through the levels of an onion. So that series is going to go forward in a lot of different directions. It's going to be a fascinating piece. It'll center mostly on Little Sierra, but also like Hill Street Blues and some of the other fantastic television series that we grew up with. It also has an ensemble of cast of people surrounding, so we can do, me and the machines, the computer here with Final Draft on it. We can come up with all kinds of things to put together, and all kinds of different stories about different characters, and really go the distance with this series, which takes place, right around here and now. Not on our Earth, of course, but on one similar to ours. And whereas I'm also working on Our World of 6, War Crimes. And that one takes place, literally that takes place in two different time zones. Outward was in the 28th century, Divas in the 20th. They meet at the end. It's going to be a fantastic piece of work, but a lot going on here at Gotham Filmwerks. And gratitudes for your continued interest, and enjoy the show. Gothamites, myself and the Furball here are at work doing production designs, drawing scenes, and building models for what will become Outworlder 5. This is actually going to be a World War II era Hannibal II class UFO. And some models will be built from kits, like a F4U1 Corsair, which is customized to Squadron Zero, and others will be scratch built. And we're going to keep you apprised of our progress. Gratitudes for your continued interest, and good night, Gotham City, wherever you are.
What's he, crazy?
We do have a unique opportunity here.
No, I can't authorize this.
Anyone who read H.G. Wells' original novel, War of the Worlds, remembers the three-legged tripods that marched over England, demolishing the weaponry of the Victorian era. In 1938, Orson Welles worked with radio scribe Howard Koch on their present-day version of Wells's novel as a radio play that panicked a nation. Now, if we're going to have a proper, simultaneous temporal event,
It just made sense to utilize the three-legged marauders but in Zarachny form. That meant building a 4-foot-tall model that looked reminiscent of how they were depicted in the 1898 novel and the 2005 3-hour Pendragon Pictures production. You're watching it come together now. My first plan was to make the legs flexible, but try to maneuver this thing like a marionette, like a puppet, on wires, and it looked fake. Zarachny marauders are supposed to weigh many, many dozens of tons. Moving them on green fishing line made them look dainty, made them look fake. Okay, so trying to make this thing walk would not work. The next option was to bend the legs as if they were shock absorbers and then have these marauders look like they were hovering mere yards off the pavement. That option worked so long as a remote-controlled Camaro could approach low carrying a Sony camcorder to simulate hovering over the Hudson River, which it did. The rest of the maneuvers were done with a handheld Sony 4K camcorder or Apple iPad. I didn't want them to look cumbersome because those would be easy targets for the Outworld to knock out and no interest for you to even look at. So, whenever these marauders saw an oncoming threat, they hopped up many stories off the ground and traded rapid shots with the Outworlder for as long as they could. Some real suspense was caused when one of them fell backwards instead of sideways and nearly crushed a Manhattan intersection full of cars. Fortunately, the Outworlder spiraled in, fired off rapid hot pulsar bursts, and disintegrated mere feet from the tops of the cars, saving dozens of New Yorkers from a crushing death. You'll note in the film that some of the marauders are models, others are drawn in to show their numbers in the distance. While they looked formidable on film, the model was in fact very flimsy and could topple easily, which is why Rachel was not amused at how much ground this thing could fall onto near her. Yeah, Rachel was always more of a Starship girl anyway.
There you go. There you go. There you go. This is start date 22/02/01.8. It's Saturday. Construction was completed on the legs of this Zracny tripod only moments ago. The painting process began on the head over here just this morning. It's already dried. Now we have one more leg. The paint is still drying upstairs, and within an hour or two it'll be down here as well. Now once we have both sides of this these legs painted, we'll then give it another day or two to solidify, and then we can start joining them together. Good morning, citizens of Gotham and all the ships at sea. Nowadays I usually get done with my work shift around midnight, and people wonder, gee, why do you try to work on your film all the way through the middle of the night? Aren't you tired after work? Yeah.
Because you were telling me that I should get anything done. So, that said, I'd like you to say hello to my little friend. Believe our room this damn small. See, the other camera's up against the wall where you are. That's the other wall there. Room this small. I gotta film combat scenes with special effects models. And after filming a few flip-bys and moving gunnery scenes with this model, I'm gonna have that outworld model look like it's skidding out of the air and shoot the legs out from under that thing. And somehow, I'm going to make that thing look like it's falling slowly to the ground, and then have Outworlder atomize it before he has a chance to fall on a bunch of cars stuck in the middle of the road with a bunch of shrieking people in it. Back in 1938, no less. Oh yeah. Gratitude for your interest in the citizens of Gotham, and good morning, wherever you are. Remember all those TV shows like Project UFO in the 1970s or Alien Files on the History Channel more recently? You hear garbled reports of someone calling in a triangular craft sweeping overhead. No one knew if it was an alien or some reverse-engineered tech being piloted by a unit that doesn't exist. Now you look at Diana, and she looks like every panic call you ever heard. She doesn't make much noise. She absorbs light. And she has little problem executing 90-degree turns that would liquefy the bones and organs of most pilots. H-Packs have excellent velocity compression tech, so aviators don't end up smudged on their seats. I'm going into more detail on the rationale for her design once you see the completed construction in just a few minutes. See, you don't just design a starship without knowing what ordnance it needs to function or how to make it work, even if it is a work of fiction itself. A starship needs to travel many times the speed of light, and without a nose-mounted navigational deflector, even banging into a pebble could tear your ship apart and you with it. That also means having deflector tech that surrounds the rest of the ship from attacks by both nature and enemies. Then there's the placement of your fuselage-mounted thrusters, so you can slowly maneuver either in space, to dock up with other stations or whatever, or through the air itself, or even underwater. Life support systems have to be adequate not just for the aviator flying the craft, but also any passengers or refugees they carry. A blade of armor has to be able to reduce heat, either during re-entry to an atmosphere or from energy weapons attacks. Weapons have to be placed in numerous areas, front and back, sometimes even on the sides, and have a field of fire to adequately protect the ship during complex and rapid maneuvers. RH packs have degravitators, which began as superconductor technology back in the 1940s, reverse engineered from Zarachni marauders, taken down in 1938. Now, how many more systems can you think of that a starship would need to be effective? Those of us who grew up around starships, watching Star Trek, Space 1999, numerous films of the era, including Star Wars, got that education. That education took the form of, for Star Trek fans, when Franz Joseph introduced the USS Enterprise blueprints and soon after, the famed Starfleet Technical Manual. Reading this manual, you'd think you were reading an actual service manual from the 23rd century that went into depth on ship-main operations. Not long after, an ad in Starlog magazine had many of us buying the Moonbase Alpha Technical Manual. Reading that, we learned how the Alphans encountered warp drive capable alien societies, how systems on the moon base worked, and the biographies of key personnel. By fall of 1977, we fans were treated to numerous books, magazines, blueprint sets, and then the making of Star Wars on primetime TV. Suddenly, we also learned how this Dystraflex computer worked to maneuver a camera system around a model X-Wing, Y-Wing, TIE Fighter, Star Destroyer, Millennium Falcon, or Blockade Runner. Aside from learning about the fictional ships, we also learned about the people with the tools and the talent to make this revolutionary film work. By the following year, fall of 1978, the Battlestar Galactica was leading a ragtag fugitive fleet on an exodus for a new homeland. Effects powered by industrial light and magic. We fans collected the books, magazines, poster books, blueprint sets, anything. Starlog magazine was not only putting out a terrific issue every month, but also publishing books on special effects techniques used to make our favorite shows and films. Buck Rogers arrived on screen. Yes, the silver screen. In early spring of 1979, and mere months later, owned Thursday night in the fall season. Articles in numerous publications were teaching fans not just how the fictional ships worked, but more importantly, how so many special effects houses were needed to vend services to these popular shows. By this time, kids on school buses were debating which velocity was faster, light speed or warp speed. Okay, here's how this works. Light speed is, it's 186,326 miles per second. Han Solo's Millennium Falcon could only accelerate 0.5 past light speed. Comparatively, on the Star Trek episode That Which Survives, the United Starship Enterprise was traveling at warp factor 14.1. Okay, get your calculators, cell phones, whatever has a program out to make this work for you. Get them out because it's time to learn how warp factors work. See, those factors are done as a multiple of 3. So warp factor 1 is just 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1, which is just the speed of light, 186,326 miles per second. Cool. But if your Constitution class starship is traveling at warp 14.1, that equals 2,803.221 times the speed of light. Now multiply that times 186,226, and in 1 second you're traveling. Well, damn, my old calculator from the 1970s just went sugar because now there's a letter E, followed by the number 5.2231295. Okay, you just traveled that many times the speed of light in 1 second. Multiply that times 60, you get a minute. Multiply that by 60 again, and you get how many miles at the speed of light you travel in an hour. Ironically, plenty of us kids who were lousy at math in grade school because so much of what they taught, or they thought they were teaching us, had no real applications we could figure out. Conversely, some mathematical formulae did have real-world applications. Multiplication was good for calculating distance, time, and rate. Geometry, one of my personal favorites. This told you how much snow or ice a particular roof design could handle so you could pass your architecture class presentation on housing durability. Hey, that's where I learned to turn my drawing skills into drafting and architectural prowess. Yeah, at the Weston High School in Connecticut. Lonnie Clark ran those classes. And even if you were lousy at math, he taught you how to apply those mathematical formulae, and suddenly you were the student with the unconventional ideas and solutions that the math proved would work. However, I never could have met Lonnie Clark or attended either drafting or architecture, or made the grade for that matter, without mathematics wizard Edward Walenzik. Mr. Walenzik taught a kid with arithmetic disorder who had no procedural memory how to make math work. Not only with class lessons, but with discussing about how Carl Sagan was teaching his students at Cornell how to calculate star charting off right ascension in deep space. I was a kid who had D's in previous schools, suddenly within striking distance of scoring A's on classwork and tests. Oh yeah, headed for mainstream math, liking that. It was also art teachers that taught us the new methods to use new tools and mediums. Science teacher Mr. Harris would roll in on his motorcycle, regardless of what season it was, and teach us how wing configurations alter the course and altitude of aircraft, and even how the space shuttle Columbia worked, both in an atmosphere and in space. Hey, she was safer in space. See, because once Columbia dropped into an atmosphere, she was a glider dropping like a rocket without being able, if the pilot, were unable to calculate turning arcs, distances, velocities, and the like, chances are you'd be dropping that machine into a shopping mall instead of way out on a dray like bed where you're supposed to. Science fiction becoming science fact is what fueled our minds back in the last century and wanting to be part of the all that is. It had us thinking that in time we could learn anything, even if some social control martinet or high school hoodlum told you otherwise. Every few months, my brother Jim and me would be in Manhattan attending another huge Star Trek convention. That was around the time when the Statler Hilton Hotel became the Pinta Hotel. On the educational side, there was these panel discussions about where science fiction was becoming science fact. You'd have college professors, grad students, whoever doing these presentations. They were fantastic. One presenter held up a brick-sized cellular phone that made his pants sag if he hung it on his belt. He said that this was the best can be done in 1982, but by 1992, just one decade away, all of that circuitry would be micro-miniaturized and will fit into something on the drawing boards called a flip phone. Only decades later, your smartphone is the 21st century version of the pads used on Star Trek The Next Generation. Gratitudes to Apple, because now you have that wrist phone reminiscent to those wrist communicators from Star Trek The Motion Picture. Just like those Starfleet communicators, yours can communicate, yours can record and transmit audiovisual imagery thousands of miles distant, and even factor your location and project your destinations. Kind of proves when education has some value. Right now, I'm creating my own original series using skills either picked up in schools, for special effects manuals, from the Army, or from a German heavy metal queen. Now take stock of your education. Take stock of your skills that you learn outside of schools, and those might be actually the greater number of skills. An easy definition to the meaning of life is to find what you're good at and do it. Not always is there a seven-figure paycheck attached, so you might be operating at a loss for quite a while. But at least decades down the harsh road, you will not be that person whose body is shutting down and you're begging any deity you can think of for more time to get more done, to get more life. You don't want to be that person who wasted their life self-medicating at bars, clubs, and drug dens who never accomplished anything. You want to be that person who goes down that long list of things and thinks, every crony, nepotism baby on the right and every race, gender hustler on the left stood against me playing every game they could think of. I got what I planned on anyway without any of them, and they hate me for it. And if the Grim Reaper is stupid enough to stand at the end of wherever I'm shutting down, I can tell him as soon as I get up, regardless of whatever form I'm in, I'm going to kick his ass, throw him down to hell, beat Satan senseless while I'm at it, toss him in the smallest cage I can find, and then go running and dining like 007 with Persephone for as many eons as I like. I'm planning on living past age 100 to get everything planned done, but I plan on enjoying eternity a lot more than I never enjoyed this life.
I've been working on this Diana class HVAC for some few months now, and she's supposed to look as if she were 1985 skunk work. So if you take a look, any aeronautical engineer could take a look at her and see she shares some lineage in the fuselage with perhaps an SR-71. You notice if you look at her center line here, the nose goes above that, much like the popular lifting body aircraft in the 60s and 70s. Any of you ever saw the original pilot of the $6 Million Man? You had Steve Austin flying an HL-10. Notice the nose comes upward like this. It aids it in lifting during flight. And of course, another characteristic, if you take a look at her, the configuration of her wings, she looks not too different than an F-117. Someone would, if we're out there in the desert, sky watching would easily confuse Diana with an F-117 or just some other UFO going by. Another addition, she has a tractor beam down here, and unlike most aircraft, which require you to climb up a ladder to get to the second story, we don't do that with these. No, step up a ladder here, and yeah, you come in there. Here's your cockpit, right up in there. Now you get around to the back. Say, for example, you land on one of these things, but you got to hide it outside of town, give it some cover. So what do? Well, you got to travel to town somehow. You might be in a rush. You certainly have got the option to hitchhike, or for that matter, call an Uber. It's not quite an option when you're doing covert operations. So yeah, you have instead a small garage here. This comes down, and what happens is inside of this garage is stored a small motorcycle, just like this one. Stores it right in there. You just raise it up. Then what happens is you can get around town with that. And also get around to the back. You notice, we got here's the rear engines here. We covered them in plastics while we're doing painting. See? That way the black paint wouldn't hit them. And of course, here are the warp engines. These are interesting because these come out. You take them out like this. They're powered by a simple 9-volt battery right there. Simple battery. Plug it in, and then just insert it in there. Now, what I'm planning on doing is making little repair craft that hover around on a green string and can appear to be coming in here and extracting the engines and doing maintenance and stuff like that on them. And there'll be some of the background detail in Outworld 5. You also see she's got gunnery above and below, and also in the front here. These small inlets here, or the side thrusters here and here, and around the other side. She also has bow thrusters there and underneath, because if you're trying to move toward a space station, you need those slow-moving thrusters to get you in slow and easy without striking anything. And then, of course, she still has flaps if she wants to navigate underneath the water or in an air environment. And then, of course, the what's interesting about this one is, just like some of your aircraft, like the some of your F-35, F-22, this one also has the nozzle can maneuver around, and so it can go down, up, side to side. Helps them maneuver the craft around it at sub-light speeds. So this one can function also in an atmosphere and also out in space. Now we're not quite finished painting her just yet. She's started with white watercolor paint, and you put the white on in gentle layers, and then we use very simple. Use these watercolors. Use a watercolor. It's very subtle, it dries pretty quick, and you can easily mix and blend them as you want to, and you get the result. The result being that you want something that looks like, if you wanted to, she was hiding on the ground, she could hide among craggy rocks or whatever, and or in a forest and hide herself there, or if you want to drop into an asteroid field, well, if you got some brown, some orange, or some of these other colors, or these grays or blues on there, you know, or a camouflage scheme, you should be a little bit more easily camouflage it with those environments. And what you find out later is they also have a cloaking device, selective bending of light, so that the vehicle will actually render itself invisible. Now you might notice she doesn't have landing gear. Well, of course not. They're using superconductors, so they float. They're just a few yards off the ground like this, and that allows them to they don't have to worry about really setting down anywhere. You don't have to worry about having a rough landing. You're just gonna come drop in and just stop like that, and then you just drop down and do whatever you have to do. So it's interesting piece of work. It's going to be it's only somebody who's got some aeronautical engineering background might look at her and think, yeah, it's possible that she might be 1985 Covert Skunk Works or something like that. She might have been a product of that, and she was designed that with that in mind. Now the Locera class, which you saw the airframe for later, well, she's going to look like something completely entirely alien. So she will not look like Diana does. And it's going to be a few months before we get her done, and you'll be one of the first to see it.
When you saw Locera in Outworlder 5, full disclosure, what you did not know is that it takes 2 models to portray this breakout character. See, the model I'm making right now is going to grow to be 50 inches long and weigh at least 12 pounds, carrying vehicles and 9-volt batteries. Not only is Locera a starship fighter, but you can also deploy a pursuit interceptor car that can transform into an underwater aquapod. So both of those models have to be built, and they have to fit into the garage in her nose. The aviator seat drops down just behind that garage. Behind that aviator seat is a smaller garage where she houses a motorcycle. But that's far, far from all. Locera can also deploy her own drone, euphemistically called the Dove. Dove got that name because you don't see any gunnery mounted on the fuselage. Dove looks harmless. It isn't. Dove uses different weapons entirely. What you'll see in the first episode of the spin-off series is Dove being deployed to knock down Clathroken Cutlass-class fighters without using guns. Instead, Dove can emit an electromagnetic pulse that shuts down microchips. But what if you've got a more evolved alien enemy using a more organic or more exotic alien tech that maintains their operations? Oh, no problem. Dove can hack their computer systems, rapidly assess their programming, design its own malware, and then transmit said malware right into the jam their controls. Now imagine if you're fighting against Locera, but what you don't see is Dove hacking your computer and shoving your control systems forward till you flip over upside down and have no control. Punching out on the ejector seat, Might not be a good idea because that enemy fighter you were flying is now dropping right down on you. Or it's just going to slam into a waste disposal dome and pulverize you to fried paste. Lucera has an array of her own weapons. On the tips of her wings are two pivoting cannons that can fire in front of her or all the way to the side and back. To protect both her scramjet engines and her warp engines, there are two double-barrel ball gun cannons. Atop the hangar, you might notice a blue-lit grill. Lucera can emit charged chaff decoys that not only decoy enemy missiles, but can also scatter energy weapons fire, reducing its impact damage to her. If a bombing run is on the menu, hatches on either side of her fuselage slide open, and she can drop a variety of bombs. Now, not all of those bombs are explosives meant for destruction. She can also drop fire suppression bombs that airburst or ground detonate to momentarily remove the oxygen from an area, snuffing out a forest fire or chemical explosion. Anything alive need only hold their breath a moment, and they'll emerge shaken, not stirred. Now, as I said, it takes two models to portray Lucera. The one you see me building now is 50 inches long, and she's the hero model ideal for close-ups. Then there's the 1/5 scale 10-inch long model of Lucera that is her stunt model. If Lucera is spiraling around at hypersonic speeds or fighting it out with enemy fighters, chances are the 10-inch stunt model is doing that job. It only carries two 3-volt batteries to power a few lights in the engines, but she looks realistic enough in motion. You've noticed the simple pencil sketch that were done of both Diana and Lucera. Now those drawings are being measured, scaled up, and built from lightweight cardboard and plastics. I started with the two garages and cockpit. Then I built an airframe outward with corrugated cardboard and added the scramjet engine's assembly. From there, I used L-shaped brackets that will hold the two pivoting wings in place. That will take over a month of work, but you'll see it develop in minutes. At the size Lucera is, she's rather cumbersome to move around from room to room. So much of the table she takes up that for months, Rachel could only sit on the Batman bed on the floor, looking up and getting a crick in her neck as if watching a planetarium show. Now, 100-year-old Pomeranians, they want to sit on their blue mat and want to look eye to eye with that HDTV. They don't take kindly to expensive toys encroaching on space they've seen as theirs for a decade. Cute and fox-like as they appear, Pomeranians are actually a cross between a tundra wolf and a militant gremlin. Now, you can watch this model come together piece by piece and section by section. The first thing you realize is, this is not a kit. No, it's all scratch built. So how do you learn to not only build the parts, but to assemble them to look like something that might exist in reality? Okay. We're going back to 1969 when I was 3 years old and Mom was pregnant with the do-over baby. After dropping me on my head so many times, Mom figured I was a lost cause anyway and decided she wanted a do-over baby. So now she's many months pregnant, and we're due to move soon to from St. Louis to Baltimore, Maryland, because the infant mortality rate is so high in Missouri. You remember how your moms were when you'd be in the women's clothing department at Northwest Plaza, famous bar? Mom's favorite color is green, so she's looking at maternity dresses, and she doesn't like avocado green, even if it was a popular color in the 1960s. No. Mom prefers either bright green or a deep forest green, and she was having a hard time finding a dress in that color or her size. Hey, I get bored watching all this. I get bored, so I walk off. I know my way around any shopping mall on the planet. I'm 3 years old. I know where the fun places are at. A quick ride down the escalator and a stride across the open mall, past the water fountains gushing 30 feet into the sky, and I find my way to the Sears Automotive Department. Now, I got this pedal action fire engine that Dad helped me paint black and customize to be a kid's version of Adam West's Batmobile. Hey, so I'm in the Sears Automotive Department checking out the mag wheels. Now, you notice real quick, none of them have red bats on them. Okay, I'll have to customize those too. No pressure. I'm looking at these huge tires and mag wheels, not realizing, because I'm only 3 years old, that they won't fit on a pedal toy car. This nice lady with a bob haircut walks up to me wearing the blue Sears uniform of the era and asks me if I'm lost. I says, "No, lady, I'm over here. If I was lost, I'd be someplace else." She asked where my mother is. I told her mom was a famous bar on the other side of the open mall. Then she asks, "What's your name?" I look her right in the eye and reply, "Jesus Christ." Now, understand that I had a real identity problem at age 3 because Mom was always yelling at me, "Jesus Christ, don't climb down the manhole in the street over there! Jesus Christ, just for the telephone lineman climbs up a pole doesn't mean you should! Jesus Christ, I can get up on the goddamn roof!" Same way Batman does. Okay, so the Sears lady is really flummoxed. She calls the police. Minutes later, this lovely cop that looks like Pam Grier with a few extra curves strides in, and the Sears lady obviously doesn't know what to do. So this lovely cop crouches down, looking at me eye to eye, and asks, "What's your name, darling?" And I reply, "Jesus Christ." Okay, this isn't a little word for any Midwestern sister of Christ. So she asked me, "What name does your mother call you?" And I imitated my mom and said, "Jesus Christ." Okay, now the whole department knows what's going on, and none of the civilians knows what to do. Yeah, but the cop does. Cop does. She gets on the phone, taps the button to activate the intercom, and says to the entire mall, "Will the mother of Jesus Christ please come to the Sears Automotive Department? Your little deity is pricing custom chrome mag wheels for his Batmobile with insufficient funds." She hangs up the phone. Now, the civilians are still flummoxed, but the cop, asks me about my Batmobile. So minutes later, there's a loud thumping, rambling down the escalator, and I can see my mother running into the automotive department screaming, "Jesus Christ, where did you walk off to?" Well, that's a stupid question, because I'm over here pricing mag wheels. Mom was going off when the cop asked her if she named me after the Son of God. Mom says, "No, his name is Eddie." So the cop puts her hands on her hips, looks down on my mother, and says, "Why don't you call him Ed so he don't stroll off into Calvary next?" Mom is speechless, which is uncanny because Mom's always yelling about something. She even invents stuff to yell about. The cop takes Mom over to this display that has cloth checkered flags with names on them and tells her to buy all of the ones with my name on them and sew them onto my shirts and jackets. Wouldn't be a bad idea if she were to teach me to write my name, address, and phone number too, in case I wander off again. Mom's pissed. Hey, Mom's always pissed, so what's new, right? We get home. She writes my name, address, and phone number at the top of an 11 by 14 legal sheet of paper and tells me to write what she did over and over till I know it. Know what? Hey, I'm 3, so I can't read. But whatever. She says she's going to sew those nameplates on my jackets and shirts. Okay, so I'm writing for around 10 minutes when the phone rings. Guess Mom didn't hear the phone. So I pick up the phone and say, "Hello?" Right away, this guy barks out,
Who the hell is this?
Right away, I know how to handle this guy as I get into my Shatnerian swagger and reply, "This is Captain James T. Kirk, United Starship Enterprise. Identify yourself and mission." Turns out this guy is going to be my dad's future employer when we move to Baltimore, Maryland next week. Mom comes running and yelling, "Jesus Christ, give me the goddamn phone!" Now, I told you that story so I could tell you this one, so keep following how the model building thing comes along, see? Now, it's early January of 1970. Mom's really big and really moody because in little more than a week, she gets her do-over baby. Now, my dad is brilliant, so he knows the score. Once the new baby arrives, all the attention from family and friends will be on her. So Dad figures I need something to raise and something to take care of and something that won't make a mess, while all the attention is on Erin. Yeah, my mom was hoping for a girl she could name Erin. So Dad goes to Toys R Us on a Friday night and buys the AMT kit of the USS Enterprise. There's another father on the checkout line who told my dad the lights that come with the AMT kit are no good, too fragile, wires break too easily. So Dad goes down a few doors to the Radio Shack to get a 9-volt battery head, and some red, yellow, green flashing lights, along with several standard white bulbs. See, back in the 1960s, AMT Enterprise model kits had semi-transparent amber nacelle covers, and you could light them. You could also light the upper and lower sensor domes on the saucer. Dad brings this home and tells me he got this so I have something to keep me busy while everyone else flakes out over the baby. So after dinner, Dad and me are sitting at the dining room table trying to assemble this kit. I'm not even 4 yet, so I can't even read. Dad never built a model kit in life, but he figured if he can dismantle and assemble a Browning .50 caliber machine gun, an M1 Garand rifle, a communications dish array, and fix, pretty much every system on a U.S. Army deuce-and-a-half truck, then he can handle a styrene plastic starship. He was right, he did. He taught me how to read the instruction booklet and what each component was, and how to test fit it before gluing it so you don't mess it up. Test twice, glue once. But anyone who built that ship back in the 60s, well, you know that once it was assembled, you couldn't touch it for 2 days because you had to tape the warp engines and pylons upward and level into place and leave them to dry. 36 hours recommended. Dad said, okay, it's Friday night now, so we'll leave the ship alone till Sunday night, and we'll put the decals on while watching Walter Cronkite. Awesome! So, for Saturday and Sunday, the Enterprise is sitting atop the fireplace mantle, drying. I keep looking at her because now I'm captain of my own ship. The next time I touch her will be to put the decals on and attach the battery to switch on the lights. Okay, I can't touch it till Sunday, but there's plenty of cardboard, plenty of plastic around the house. I know she's 18 inches long because Dad measured her and she took up half a yardstick. Okay, so I start drawing out my own pieces because the first season episode, Balance of Terror, is rerunning tonight. And I want a Romulan ship. Hey, I need something kind of roundish for the front. I trace around a Maxwell House coffee can and extend and taper back the back so that you can see, and while I'm doing this, I'm kind of seeing the image of that Romulan ship superimposed over the cardboard that I'm drawing on. That's really all you have to do is match your hand movements to whatever image is hovering in front of you, and most often you can't miss. Now, the good thing is I can make this Romulan ship out of durable corrugated cardboard because there's plenty of Schlitz malt liquor and Pabst Blue Ribbon and Wild Turkey boxes dumped in the garbage can. I haul them out and cut them into shape, layer them, layer one on top of another, glue them with Elmer's, and I start building the Romulan ship's hull and pylons. Oh, wait a minute. What to use for engines? Hey, there's a busted plastic shirt hanger with thin cardboard tubes. Cut that tube in half, Elmer's glue it to the pylons, and maybe I got a ship. Now, Dad's not amused all this cardboard getting cut while he's also working in the living room with all of his reports and stuff like that while watching Wide World of Sports on Saturday. But he knows that if I get engrossed in building these ships for my Enterprise to play with, I won't have any problem not getting much attention from family and friends who are coming very soon. I have a starship to raise, and she needs toys too. Yeah, it all started there. An AMT Enterprise, me wearing a gold sweatshirt with a black collar, gold braids on the sleeves, and a gold Delta-shaped command insignia that my mom made for me. I had the starship and the uniform, and the Romulan ship was drying. The Klingon D7 is next. Oh no, my brother Jim came next. Yeah, Mom wanted a girl, she got a boy, but as long as she didn't drop him on his head like she did me, maybe he turned out all right. The family and friends rolled in to spend time with Jim. An amusing thing happened. See, back in the late 1966, I was just around a year old. It was my Aunt Joan and my cousin Evie who hit me to Star Trek before, I was just a little shaver. And they saw the Enterprise model, the Romulan bird of prey color with red, orange magic marker, and the beginnings of a Klingon D7 crudely cut out of bits and pieces of cardboard. Now, Evie had built her own Enterprise kit in 1968, but hers could not light up like mine. She had those flimsy lights that came with the kit. Seeing mine, she got the idea of what she had to do, and she was going to get those Radio Shack lights and make that happen for her Enterprise when she got back to Jersey. She also told me that I didn't have to bother building a Klingon D7 because the kit is already in stores. In fact, if you watch the episode Way to Eden, third season episode, the model makers, in an effort to save money, glued warp engines from a Klingon D7 model kit onto their own Tholian ship model, repainted a two-tone gray, and it was seen as Dr. Severin's ship fleeing conformity. Wow! Klingon models already exist. They only cost $5. Wait. What do I gotta do to make $5 so I can get that Klingon ship? Right about then, a kid either learns to make do without, or he takes stock of what he can do to make some money and buy that ship. Hey, Mom just had a kid. Mom's tired, but she already taught me how to cook and bake food and how to vacuum the rugs, mop the kitchen floor, mow the lawn with a push mower, wash Dad's Maverick inside and out. I'm talking this over with Sammy the Beagle. We think it's time to negotiate a labor contract so that I can buy the things I need. I have not even been to kindergarten yet, but I need a job. What can a 5-year-old do? Oh yeah, Dad had the answer for that too. He got me a shoe shine kit and taught me to shine Oxford shoes. Shiny shoes can make $1 a pair, maybe more. Hey, maybe even a lot more, even a $5 if you get some wise guy that tips well. Oh yeah, me on my big wheels with a shoe shine kit going out into the big neighborhood to shine shoes. Turns out there was other odd jobs I could do too. I'd be the only kid going to kindergarten with any greenbacks in his wallet. Anyone who watched my stand-up comedy show, Black Tie Night at the Cobalt Club, knows what happens when a 5-year-old from Passaic, New Jersey walks into Baltimore with a wallet. Yeah, he takes down a knife-wielding third grader and sends him to the hospital. Hey, no one messes with my Starship money. I love my little Starship kids. Yeah, even if all they can do is stare at me and blink. Time will come to make a few of those little models into iconic characters in their own television series. Oh yeah, the stars, their destination.
Try and get this frame here. All right, frame on the action. And yeah, when I come, I'm gonna pan right to about here.
Okay.
And then you start delivering a line, and I just move in right in like that.
You want to, would it be quieter if you took your shoes off?
Yeah, you know what it would, because this thing's a sticking to the floor like anything. You're right. Put these over here. There we go. Well, that's a much better idea. Start framing it right here. Demons. Start action.
General, I'm reading a hyperspace boom over Manhattan. Unidentified aerial phenomena is at Mach 40 and accelerating. UAP is left orbit and going head-to-head with the Dragon.
C-51. We get in behind you here. Get this framed. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Go on your own time and action.
General, that barrage is increasing to 700 megatons. If any of that energy hits Jerusalem, the city vaporizes. Is that too quick?
Today you go on model kit websites like Round to 2 Models, Cult TV Man, Big Bad Toy Store, so many more. What you see are plenty of new models and also improved reissue kits of older models that have been around since the 1960s, 70s, even the 80s. Sure, these models cost more, but if you want them, they're available. I've got quite a few myself. But there was a time before all this made-on-demand ordering, before the internet that connected so many buyers to sellers and even to aftermarket providers that improved still more on those kits. The idea of making kits nowadays is to make them look every bit as good as they do on television or film. Now, I mention this because building different kits also gives you insights how to design your own models from scratch. Not just models either. Yeah, see, back in 1977, even before that, I was making my own toys for me and my brother, too. Oh, yeah. Now, me and my brother, back in, 74, 75, we had the Star Trek action figures by Mego, the Space 1999 figures by Mattel, the $6 Million Man by Kenner, and then it all got real awesome when Star Wars debuted in 1977. See, as forward-thinking as George Lucas was, the toy merchandising industry was not. So, to get those first 4 Star Wars action figures, you had to buy this early bird package, which was just the background stand and little white pegs. This was under the Christmas tree, December 25th, 77. It would not be until a snow day in February of 1978 that 2 little boxes, just plain little white boxes, would arrive in the mail. My brother Jim and me had been out all morning shoveling driveways and walkways to make a fistful of dollars. We checked the mailbox on the way in, see 2 boxes with just black Kenner lettering, and right away we got a pretty idea what it's in. And we haul them into the house, open the boxes, and these little figures, Luke and Leia, Darth Vader, and C-3PO. The rest of the figures would not come out till March or April, and when they did, they were literally on every revolving display stand in every mall and in just about every store. There was practically no place you go you couldn't find them. By that time, I'd already made an X-Wing for Luke and R2-D2 to fit in. I was making a Millennium Falcon, and by using the Star Wars sketchbook by Joe Johnson, and the blueprints to scale everything right. So, yeah, I had even cooler toys than Kenner was turning out. It all comes out of need or want for something you don't have, and the innovation to figure out how you're going to build it with the parts you might get at hardware stores, hobby stores, anywhere at all. Before long, it was December of 1979, and upon seeing Star Trek The Motion Picture, an 88-inch long USS Enterprise refit was being planned, and so was a 70-inch Katinga-class Klingon battlecruiser big enough to house even the action figures. Granted, life was seldom easy, but like Evel Knievel said, in every adversity is a benefit if you know how to find it.
Listen.
One of the things that you have to do when you make a movie and you have to show the rough cut to anybody is you have to put a temp track on it. Composers generally don't like to have to watch the movie with somebody else's music on it.
The editor and the director are often what we call married to their temp track.
And so now you find yourself unwittingly turning
That's a good girl. Can't get enough shots. Oh, wait, nice. Such a pretty dog, huh?
And that has made all the difference. If you look at the history of comics, there are very few creators who had that in their lives. And and Bob was one of the very few that did.
And that's why he was able to get a good deal.
He looked after Bob very well.
Bob's father was instrumental in him.
Good evening, citizens of Gotham and all the ships at sea. It's Tuesday, 2022-09.6, and I'm on the beginning of my vacation, and just this a few days we've gotten some test footage done, which you're going to see very shortly. A lot of you remember we're still working on model works for Outworlder 5, and you'll see one of them in some test footage today. First footage you'll see is 3 of Outworlder flying underneath an elevated bridge, and another one of a city under attack by Zarachni, and then of course the final cut will be of Outworlder strafing those very same Zarachni marauders. I'm using a new book that I picked up on Amazon. It's to learn Adobe After Effects. Use a book like this if you want to learn how to put in lasers and smoke effects and fire effects and all kinds of things like that, post-production. And work continues on the Luceria prototype. She's over 4 feet long, weighs at least 12, maybe 12 and a half pounds by now. And Rachel can't wait to get her off the studio table so she can sit on the studio table and better watch the HD TV. So, gratitudes for your continued interest. And what? All right, you'll get cheese in a minute, okay? Yeah. Gratitude for your continued interest, and good night, Gotham City, wherever you are. Yeah, you'll get the cheese, okay? Oh, you want bacon too, right? Oh, you want the Mexican food, right? Yeah, you want the, yeah, okay. Yeah. It's almost 5 now, isn't it? Okay, I'll make you dinner. Rachel, we just, finished this meal here, right? And how is it? Half the food in your dish is now all over my floor. I mean, really, honey, you know, you are the messiest little eater I have ever seen. I mean, what's up with this, babe? I put the food, Mexican food with lots of cheese, in your dish, and somehow you ate all the Mexican food, but all your food is all on my floor. What do you do about this? What do you do about this, huh? You little mess. Eat that food, honey. Yeah. All the Pomeranians in the world, you are the Pomeraniest. Hey, why don't we go get some ice cream? Yeah, I know you like that idea. Let's go. All right, let's go. Ice cream. You still starting to bother you again, honey? Huh? What's the matter? You right there, buddy? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Nice dog here, huh? Yeah. That's a good girl. All right. Yeah. Give you some water, huh? Here we go. Put you down here. Get some nice, fresh, cold water. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Gently now. There we go. Okay. That's it. Yeah. Drink your nice, cold water. Okay. Yeah. Now drink your nice, cold water. What's the matter, babe? Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Huh? What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? Huh? You having trouble with the throat again? You having trouble with the throat again? It's all right. Yeah. I'll get you a Zyrtec, huh? You want to get a Zyrtec? Yeah, break off 1/4 little Zyrtec right there for you. Give you a little ice cream, okay? How about that, huh? Yeah. You all right there, huh? Right? It's okay. It's okay. That's it. Breathe slow. Breathe slow. That's it. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Tell you what. Give you a Zyrtec with a little bit of ice cream. Okay? And then, yeah, you get yourself a nap. Okay, when we wake up later, we can watch some of those Star Trek fan films you like, okay? Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, you'll be alright. Yeah. It's alright. That's it. Yeah, let's get you a little Zyrtec and clear that phlegm out of your little throat there, okay? Yeah? Get yourself a little nap. Okay? Yeah. You can rest now, okay? It's okay. Yeah, come on. We'll get you a little Zyrtec and some ice cream. You'll be fine, okay? Alright, come on, buddy. Yeah. Let's go, buddy. Yeah. Good girl.
But it's not. Now you know a little something about Rooster.
You might have noticed while watching this documentary that you saw no other human beings in my house as I made this movie. It was just me, Rachel, who's not around anymore, my Apple computer, my iPad, my Sony 4K camcorder, 4 LED lights from Home Depot, ordnance like that. So when I say the word we, my intent is to give credit where credit is due. I could not process this movie myself. I needed people like Mac headquarters to sell me the Apple for Life plan on my Mac Studio and sell me the iPad. I needed someone to teach me those programs and troubleshoot those rare problems here and there. And for that, I called in Brian Keefe of Mighty Max. I went to a few art and hobby supply stores, but honestly, some of those places can be expensive. You can get more spray paint from hardware stores and auto parts shops. Hey, why buy a fragile halogen light for over $400 in a prestige art supply store when you can get something better, more durable, cheaper from Home Depot? Yeah, I've got two Ryobi lights. They run on rechargeable batteries, and two rigid 3-panel LEDs, and those light up that green room from using paint, of course, from the green paint came from Home Depot. From Amazon.com, I bought small flashlights that I can mount on my camera mount to better light the models, or put them in areas around the room to illuminate the models from a distance. This is all the research and development work that every filmmaker learns to do to maximize their productivity and lower the budget. You'll see these vendors listed in the credits at the end, along with the providers of music who really livened up this production. This movie would be silent and boring without those people. Remember all those crickets you heard the last couple of minutes? Yeah. Without Josh Miller's guitar solos or symphonics from PremiumBeat.com, this movie would be horrifically silent and boring. They too are listed in the credits, and you can visit PremiumBeat.com and buy licenses to use music made by independent musicians. And they make music specifically for indie filmmakers and video game producers. The idea behind this concept is awesome. In this era, it is the independent film creators that are taking filmmaking out of warehouse-sized studios and bringing it home, where it is something that can be made in what's becoming a new cottage industry. Now, if you have not read any history about the Industrial Revolution in the latter 1800s, I'll break it down real simple for you. See, time was everything was made in what is called the cottage industry. Whether you were in America, Europe, or Asia, there were cottages that people entirely lived and worked out of. If you needed butter, you went to a cottage where people lived who churned and mixed and packaged butter. It prevented your bread from getting dry, and you could put on your meat also, but seasoning that, all kinds of uses for butter back then. If you wanted nails or screws or brackets or spikes or anything metallic, you went to the cottage of the blacksmith, and this metalsmith could produce any metal goods you needed. Smelted it all right there. You go to another cottage to get wools and cotton fabrics if you were a tailor working out of your own cottage making clothes for other people. This was the way for centuries. Every town had its own cottages to maintain it, or you rode horseback or humped a rucksack to other towns to get what you needed from their cottage professionals, for goods and services if your town lacked them. You got your food from a farmer. And there was no refrigeration centuries ago, so you ate it fast or it rotted. That is why when Woody Allen was asked if he could travel back in time, when would he go? Woody wisely said that he would never go anywhere that predated penicillin. Okay, so in the 1800s, with river, rail train, and the beginnings of road systems enlarged, people traveled further to get what they needed, and they needed goods in greater quantity. I mean, instead of just building towns, we were getting ready to build cities. Suddenly it became necessary to begin housing these creators of greater quantity in larger buildings, and thus came the factories that powered the Industrial Revolution. Of course, on the other hand, it also began tenement housing and ghettos where underpaid laborers existed and lived within walking distance. This had been the way for over 2 centuries on Earth, ever since the revolution began, and as a result, Earth is heavily polluted. Yet notice what the creators of fan films and independent films are doing. We're doing most of our works out of our apartments, houses, or maybe a rented warehouse space here and there. In a sense, we are bringing filmmaking to a cottage industry where we can make it all at home. Soon, you're going to see my Apple computer at work editing a scene that takes place in 1938 Manhattan. Time was, in just the late 20th century, to edit sound and video and also chroma key. You needed a console weighing hundreds of pounds and costing more than my house. Today, Apple's famed Final Cut Pro fits on my desktop screen, and I can edit the whole movie inside of a bedroom, inside of a tiny house in a blue-collar town near an airport. In a sense, filmmaking has forged a change in productivity back to the cottage industry. This is a good time to be an independent filmmaker. Think on this. Is there a story or a topic you'd like to create or do a report on? Instead of writing a book and dealing with agents and mercurial publishing executives, just make your own videos, put them on your own website or on YouTube, Vimeo, whatever. Plenty of options out there. There is no reason for you who have a mind and a voice to go silent. This is your era to create something of value, and so long as there is electricity and connected computer networks, your works will always be there to be experienced by future generations. You need not be lost like tears in the rain. These lights back further. Take 3. Action. All right. Let's see what we got, huh? Tap the menu. Playbacks. All right. Now, let's go to the iMac and see what we can make with this. Just got back from work a couple hours ago on Sunday night shift, and it's now Memorial Day. So as we enjoy this day in whatever fashion we'd like, just remember all the sisters and brothers didn't come back just so we could enjoy this day. Let's take a watch of something I can get done here. Green screen keyer right here, drop that into the scene. And let's see what we're going to get. These things always need adjustment. So they turn out. Ready? Package. Not bad. I'll have to fix some of the lighting effect. Okay. Bring it back through here. See, some of it's transparent through here. That's not good. So, we'll make some adjustments over here. Try to fill in some of the holes. That worked pretty well. Fix the edge distance. Check our spill level. What are we going to do here? I'm going to keep that there. Check our inversion. Good. You know, a bit of holdout mat in there and down there. That's where the light was glaring on the wall. Okay. Check the mix level. That's what it looked like before, green. It looked like a total composite. All right. This is an improvement. Let's see what we get now. Work back through. And action. Yeah, your problem is that spotlight right there is in the way. So we pull the footage back right up to about here, see? We start here, fly down. And right here before the spotlight comes in, we just cut it right back here. See? Before it gets there. See, we cut it back here. Right. And so we get now. So like this here now. That flies down like that. That's pointing out over the city. Now we can take another point of view from another picture and complete the scene later. Now this is just quiet right now because we haven't put any sound effects into it. Once we do that, there'll be a radical improvement. And you should see that in just a moment. The problem we have sometimes is no matter how many lights you put on this thing, you're still not always going to get all the coverage you want. See some of this here is semi-transparent, right? See some of the bleed through for what's beneath them. Now you can try to fix that with an image mask or a graduated mask. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. Then we do the follow through here. So you fly down toward the city here. Then we cut to another scene here. And the problem we had here was when I had to try to fill in some of the gaps on this character here, it also left some of the matte bleed out. So we can see him flying through here. See? Now we'll do it as just play it. Here's the beginning of the scene here. And it'll look like this. Okay, and hit the play. difficulty we have is I have 4 lights going in that room at the same time. And despite that, we still get, see, you do your adjustments on the side here, see? This one here says fill holes. We don't fill holes, he's transparent right there. See, you can see right through him. You slide this, using your mouse, slide this a little over this way. You fill him in, but it also makes some refraction, see? There was some of the light from this side shining this way, shined up on the wall, see? You see what you get an idea what that looks like, see? Now, try to take some of that out, try to fill him in. But you get an idea here, see? Here's what our composite looks like. Here's our holdouts mats look like. Here's your black and white values. Here's the original footage look like. See, that's in green. We're trying to make it look like this. Now, there's also, we also fixed the distance up here a little bit. But, yeah, we want to make it a little bit solid. But we're also going to have light glare, but we don't want it either. It's unfortunate, but that's what we got. Now, you can try to work with the mix here, but it's already maxed out as much as you can. You go back with it, you're right back to green. We don't want that. And we don't want to change the opacity either, because that one's going to lose them. So, what happened is we're going to have the scene play through. And what happens is you see him fly here. He's spiraling over, but we still have some light refraction on the wall, some bounce back. And we can't exactly do anything about that, otherwise that thing looks transparent, that looks fake. Now, one thing I can do to maybe hide this is maybe have some Zaraki firing at him up in this same area and disguise that flash right there. That's a possibility, you know, put some fire up there to sort of hide it from people's view. So you have something else to look at and a little glare on the wall. Sometimes you have to use a little artful misdirection. Put a couple of beams in there. That might work. In fact, we're going to start doing that right now. Let's give that a look. Let's see what kind of possibilities we have with that. Huh? We got one right there. Let's see what we can do about making that, covering that with something else. Now we got to do, this gets interesting. We'll go back to our, so we're in sound clips right now because we want to get those fighter jet sounds. We go back here to this, and we want to go back to the, try to find the exact clip we were using to get their firing. There's a lot of different clips I was using in this thing. There's literally hundreds of them in here. Here we go. Here's one. Okay, now watch this. So take this, drive it right down here. Maybe put it right about here, right? Right about here, right where that's coming in there. Right? We try to disguise that. Okay. Pull it a little bit. Now, problem now, think of it is though, make it work, we got to take this green screen figure right here. And the nice thing about this is you can do so many layers with it. You drop that down there. Boom, we got it. Now, okay, we go here. This is how I've been doing all the effects so far. Didn't use an expensive program like Adobe After Effects, something like that. I tried that one, didn't work out for me. Okay, so what are we trying to do instead? Well, we have a little bargain basement with the thing. So we pull it down like this. So here, you see, there's our glare right there. We want to hide that. We do, like this, right? We got to do a little misdirection here, right? Yeah. Maybe like some fire coming out of him. He's getting shot at. And there's a lot of ways you can bend this around. So you want to cover that. When you do cover it like this, okay, go like this. Oh, that looks better right there. Look at that. We got more fire. Huh? Now here's what we do. You press on this, right? You go back across it. And so you can see the flash right here. But what if we took it away with some Zaraki fire there, like this? Boom. We disguised it. It's only there. You can use your timer. Now, let's put another one in there and another one. But it can work. Yeah, thin this down a bit. Maybe bring it down a bit. See, the only look at is firing past it. We'll cover that thing. Oh, there we go. Let me bring that back like that. Let me bring this one over like this. Maybe not quite that high. Still want to cover. Right? Well, look at it's flying past the bridge. We've only got it's a very meticulous process. See? Remember that the bridge is not getting hit. But at the same time, we're trying to disguise that light glare, because those things do show through. We don't necessarily want them to. We want to disguise them. And they're not easy to do. Takes a lot of meticulous care. But it's not to say it can't be done. And that's what we do. There you go. Bring this over here like this. This might work. Bring that down a piece. Actually, that's a nice thing. Let me do it like this. Hit it like that. Oh, there we go. All right, pull this back a little. It's amazing we do the cover for 1 second. It's going to take me quite a while to cover up about 8 or 9 of these things, so we'll just leave this right here and pick it up in a moment. You'll see it. Here's about where we left off. Then I start moving this selector here. You see the our world of fly in the scene here. Now, what happens next is interesting. See, if you notice here, every time one of these shows up, we've got another sound effect right down here. A synthetic Zinger 04 lasts exactly 1 second. See? I'm traveling through there. You find it's a pulsar shot from him right down here. You just have a string of pulsar barrage here for the sound effect I think from Outworlder. More of these. Now, this is what it looked like I was editing it together. And now you get to see what it looks like. Yeah, slightly more finished one. No music yet, because we're still doing editing, but it'll be there soon enough when I get it done. Now, let's do a quick run through. Ready? Let's play. That took about a half hour, 45 minutes to finish. Well worth the effort. And from here on, we go to what he was shooting at, which is right over here. You're going to see his, switch over to the videos, right? And we're going to go to some of his arachne here. See, with some of this footage here, or some of this footage where he's flying around them. And let's see, still more. Let's see. Got some location shots here. And here's some more of the arachne craft here. Yep. So we get an idea what he was shooting at now. And it's all maybe a lot easier to see once I put some background material in it. But I want to see one of the arachne aggressors he was firing on there. So if I get a chance to see what that looks like. That'll take another hour or so to do. We'll give that a look in another hour or so. And at this point, we're able to see what Outworlder was fighting and what he's going to be destroying next. Yeah, ready? Action.
That's 12 minutes, 38 seconds, 0.14. So got completed so far in the last week or so. Everyone enjoys their Memorial Day today. I'm going to be spending mine in the studio working. I actually haven't given much thought as to whether I actually get any rest, because this is about as restful as I felt in quite a long time. Well, here's what I'll be doing for a while. Isn't it amazing how art is an outlet for all kinds of things? Well, have a good one, people. And gratitude for your continued interest.